Uh, so be sure to check out the website for the updates. We've also posted, we've tried to stay on top of the cancellations and the changes. So I think Dana has posted outside every door, there's an errata sheet that lists the changes, the possible changes that we have.
Were there new ones today that
I
weren't
didn't see any
listed
new
yesterday?
ones that
Oh, okay.
were any different. If
Cool, thank you.
something comes up, check the info desk, the information table has that information as well. If you could also push them out to your friends, we have openings. The Navy Band is always hiring. Navy Music Program always has openings, so keep a lookout for that. The Navy Band in particular does have several openings, not for saxophone just yet, but we do have a trumpet opening, a trombone. If you know any great country fiddle players, there's actually a country fiddle opening, and then a lead vocalist for the country current, so a country singer, and a couple vocalists for the sea tenor. So we do have a lot of openings, a lot of music opportunity for the Navy Music Program. In addition to all that, I want to steer you to our website. I know we're from all over the world, really, at this saxophone symposium this year. We've got groups as far away as Norway. So that's really fantastic. And other countries like West Virginia. I can say that. Jared and I went to school together at WVU, so I can say that. And my wife is from West Virginia. But do be on the lookout for our website. I'm just padding as people come in. Do look at our website because the Navy Band travels. All the various groups travel throughout the year. And then we also have some fleet bands in various areas that also have programs. So be on the lookout for our website that has links not just to our band but the other bands so that you can be sure to find a Navy concert somewhere in your area at some time. If you have any comments, we always love comments about how we can do things better. This is the 42nd year. We've got some people that have attended this event that have been at every single one. Dale was walking around yesterday, and I have sitting on my desk actually the digital, we need to digitize it, but it's a CD of the performance that he played. He played at the World Sax Congress in 1979. And he and the leader at the time sat around and said, I think we can do this, and we can do this better. And that's how the Sax Symposium got born. And so we have a recording of that hopefully we'll be making available soon. So look out for that. I think I've had it enough time. So without further ado, this is a good friend of mine. He and I went to school at West Virginia together. After West Virginia, he did something very interesting. He went to the New England Conservatory, which is not interesting in and of itself. But he studied, he was one of the first classes, I think, right, that went through the creative improvisation course.
It was a relatively new program at that time.
So very fantastic and interesting ideas on music construction and improvisation, which he's going to share with you today. So without further ado, this is Jared Sims.
And it's an honor to be welcomed by Mike Bass. As he mentioned, we were classmates, and I think the way I'll put it is this: in comedy, like a friend of mine is trying to be a comedian, and so what he says when he takes comedy classes is the funniest things are the things that are true, and sometimes in music the most powerful things are the things that actually happen. So I can tell you, based on my experience, Mike and I were classmates, and what that means is some of us thought we were really hot, and then Mike transferred in from another school, we won't say where, and we were like, whoa, that guy really plays. So at that time, maybe I was more gravitated toward the jazz side of things, Mike more toward the concert side of things. But in the spirit of learning, in the spirit of saxophone, and things that are greater than genre, I sought this guy out. And I tell some of our West Virginia University students are here. And so this is powerful. It's real life, 7 a.m. in the practice rooms. I learned from Mike that you can read the paper and practice scales. And we practice a lot of scales. We're all saxophone players, so there's common ground. He and I were in a quartet, and I guess we thought we were okay. I mean, we did the Young Artist competition, so we played with the orchestra. And then I went to grad school, and we went into this upstart group called the Navy Band in DC. The other thing kind of along those lines, my colleague Jeffrey Siegfried was playing in the other building. Something that he said was really, really powerful, and I guess I'll share it with you. Jeff plays both sides of the instrument. He's brand new to West Virginia University. He was Tim McAllister's TA. He said, this piece I'm about to play, and he played this in the last half hour, he said, I'm not a jazz saxophone player, I'm not a classical saxophone player, I'm doing something that's even deeper than that. And I thought that that was a really powerful statement. So we live in the same neighborhood in Morgantown, and those are the kind of things that we talk about. So that said, we're here for jazz. As a descripted, you know, I'll leave some time for questions at the end. Oh, and I should mention, yeah, I returned to my alma mater, which is absolutely surreal. I'm directing the jazz program. We have about 350 students, and 50 of them are doing jazz at the school. We've got a big band. I'm trying to start a brass band. I'm a saxophone player, but I got to look after people who are jazz singers and so forth. We've got a killer super sax group that Siegfried has been working with, and a ton of combos. So it's, but it's also very surreal that I remember when the dean of our school of music interviewed as a trombone teacher. So it's very surreal. I want to start by playing a piece. And maybe some of the people are more the young students. Who's in high school or middle school or anybody? Yeah. What pieces do you guys know or work on? Take the A Train. That's actually, yeah, wow, nice. All right, so I'll start with that. And I think a big goal today is to think. A lot of the time, if you go to a clinic, they're going to tell you the first chord of this scale starts on a C, and it's a C major. And then people are going to talk a whole lot about chord scales. And we kind of get really bogged down with this. And then this note right here we know is really problematic. It's going to be a plan in C major. But instead of that, what I've started to tell my students is when Louis Armstrong learned how to play music, when Billie Holiday started singing, when all these really great musicians started, they weren't thinking of that. So I think what I want to encourage everybody to do is more think about phrases and maybe even embellishing the melody. So saxophone's a melodic instrument, as we all know, and we really have to stick with that. One last thing, Mike said I went to New England Conservatory. My mentor was one of the greatest jazz pianists. He doesn't leave his house a whole lot, but he was very tight with Thelonious Monk, and there's some great stories, but everything with him was no books, playing by ear. So it kind of links in with that. He won a MacArthur, so he knows what he's talking about. Rand Blake is his name. So take the A Train. What I will also kind of reference is something that Joe Lovano says, is when he plays, he can just play the melody to a tune over and over again. And so I would encourage, especially you young people who are just getting started, do that. Don't think too much about the chord scale. Just put on a recording and play the melody. So I've been at the Gen Conference in New Orleans to see if this instrument works. Oh yeah, baritone sax. I don't know how many people will use that very. Okay, so most people just double bar line, go into something. I can think of two things that happen here. One, that's an ABA form, right? 8, 16, 24, 32. What is that times 4? 100 and something. Let's not think of it in 4/4. Let's take the bar lines out. So it's like thinking of a blues in 64 beats. So I could outline the rhythm of the melody, or I could use some melodic notes. So those two avenues, back and forth. Let's think of it rhythmically. So even better, let's keep the melody and embellish around the melody. This is more Louis Armstrong. What you've got to think about is it's 2020, 100 years ago, better yet, 110 years ago in New Orleans, Louis Armstrong had a cornet, and what he would do is play that melody and find different ways to play the melody. So we'll keep it at that same tempo. So that's an example of what I would say would be a good way to practice. And I'm not actually giving you a good idea of how to practice, because one of the points that I wanted to make in here is one of the rabbit holes we have to be careful about as a saxophone player going down is just playing alone in a room. Because a big part of being a musician is getting along with other people, being able to play with other people, and I think that's a really important point to make. So what that might mean, if I don't have a pianist on hand, we pull up one of these play-along programs. Everybody can get the iReal. People all over the world are using this. If you go to other continents, people know about this app. You can hear what I like to do is get rid of the drums because they sound so terrible on here. So that's like a pro tip, I think. Oh, this is terrible. So we get rid of that. And sometimes I put the Rhodes in a tremolo effect because the piano is just too percussive. But a lot of the time, you got the best bass player around. So what this is going to do is this is going to, in a very melodic way, give you rhythm, pitch. A lot of really great players are going to tell you, at least that's what I was told, the center approach of a tuner and a metronome on the stand simultaneously. Well, this app can give you that in a jazz format. Oh yeah, I should probably mention this too in terms of practicing. I mentioned that Mike Bays and I were in a quartet together, and that was a big part of the training that I had in that classical area. One of the things that I did, my story is 3 degrees in 3 different things. And so one of my mentors is from New England Conservatory now. He's the chair of ear training at Berkeley. And his best advice to me was, don't do the same thing all the time. Have an open mind and try to do things. So really my only jazz degree is undergrad at West Virginia. Then New England Conservatory's continuation of the third stream program, which is Gunther Schuler's program. kind of flying in between the confines of the classical and jazz genres. And then I did a DMA in classical, which was, there were a lot of reasons, but I kind of thought, well, if you go to school, you might as well get something out of it. Similarly, at West Virginia University, we have a jazz degree in grad studies, but it's jazz pedagogy. So what we're doing is, if anybody's getting a degree in jazz, we know they want to play. So what we did is we have a pedagogy degree. So what it does is it trains people how to teach. So there's a tangible reason why you get a jazz degree. But I thought I would put it out there just because I think it's really dangerous, especially for the young people in the room, to just go down one path. It's really, really important. And we really have to see a wide variety of things. So the three things I wanted to talk about were ear and I guess theory and fingers. And so it'll be really interesting. Some of my students are here, and a lot of this stuff that I wrote on these 4 pages, by the way, there might not be enough of these, so I might have to have people email me to get a copy. I mentioned to Ben earlier, he said, it'll be interesting to see how this goes because WVU.edu, it's really, no, mail. Mail.edu. I really try to take the ego out of teaching, and a big part of our program. And I'm not the only person that does this. Everybody does it. It's like repertoire is a really, really important part of what we're doing in jazz. If you don't know tunes, you're not a functional musician. So a lot of what we're doing in school at WVU is tunes, and there's different parts of that. I could pull up this app and read the tune, but we want to go deeper than that. So a lot of what we're doing, and if you check out the 2017 Downbeat article I wrote, it kind of talks about it very detailed. I think you might be able to find that online. Downbeat Magazine, 2017. It basically talks about what we're doing with jazz. And what it is, if you memorize tunes, you're going to know them better. And so, like I said, we want musicians to be functional. So if I go to a gig in Kuala Lumpur or Bangkok or somewhere in Europe, we call the same tunes we play here. And it was really funny because I was in Bangkok and the guitar player said, "Oh, you know this tune?" I was like, "Wow, that's funny you're asking me if I know this American music. I'm surprised you know this tune." Well, this is our common repertoire. This is how we're functional. And the easiest thing to do if you're a composer is write a tune that's based on the changes of something like Indiana, back home in Indiana. And then you get to the recording studio and the band, they know what to play. If you're a saxophone player, that's great. You tell the drummer, just play over this form. The piano player, just play these chord changes. Or you change the feel. So, but the first thing I want to talk about is ear. Everybody in the world is going to tell you to transcribe. Some of what I can present to you is based on what I do, and some of it is based on students and what they're doing. Everybody who's a student in our school is doing transcriptions every semester. And I might actually be asking for more than a lot of other schools, and I'm not going to apologize for that. I think if we do 3 and some other schools do 1, I think it's a really, really important thing. Even if it's only a chorus, or maybe you learn the head or the melody to a tune. Like, can you play Take the A Train by ear?
By ear?
Yeah, you got the melody?
Well, I have it in a certain key.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. Taking it in 12 keys is not a bad thing, too, and that's great for the ear. Everybody's going to tell you to transcribe. Everybody's going to tell you to transcribe. But before you do that, a lot of my students, and this is based on my experience in New England, too. Greg, you probably remember Ben Marcoux.
I do.
Greg and I were in New England together. Had a killer student. And he's really tight with George Wein at Newport Jazz Fest. I'm very happy for him. But what he would do is he would sit down and learn everything on the piano. So he'd slow it down in the dorm room and learn it on the piano, write it out, and then learn it on the saxophone. That's one way to do it. And I think some of our West Virginia University students do that now. A better way to do it is zoom out listen to the tune a bunch of times. Like, a good example, Ben did. Remind me, Ben, Art Pepper.
Art Pepper, yeah.
Yeah. So, and some of the stuff that we figured out is the way to do it is listen to it a million times, be able to sing along with the tune, and then sit down with the instrument, slow it down, figure it out on the instrument, perhaps write it there. It depends on what works best for you. But it's really, really important to be able to actually know how to play this stuff on the instrument. A lot of the times students see it as a transcription project as, look at this beautiful thing that I've created, and it looks great on paper, but they can't play it. And the other part of this is the way to play it correctly. You want to have the right sound, the right dynamics, the right inflections, the right nuance. That's really, really important. The trap that a lot of saxophone players get in, especially if you're playing Closet and Fairling and Glazunov, is the jazz will sound. Let's say here's a tune called "My Shining Hour." So then when it gets to the improvisation, we got a double bar or line at the end, and then it launches into something. And what you might hear is some really ripping stuff. So students might play like that. Better tempo, slower tempo. What we're not getting is the inflection of the lines. And that's what you're going to get from great saxophone players, whether it's any great buried saxophone player or any great tenor player. Any of them, there's some type of inflection. And this is a really, really important thing for people to think about. So a lot of the time, some of my mentors, other teachers, they use the word color to describe this, color in the sound. We want a multifaceted sound. What else? What are people phrasing? Contours. Those are three different words people use to describe this same thing. And then, by the way, I direct a big band. I'll tell the trumpet players, I don't care if you're playing some kind of romantic piece or some kind of classical piece, or you're playing a big band piece, if the line goes up, a lot of the time, it's going to get louder. If the line goes down, it's going to get softer. Is that the way you guys would play in the Navy band, Mike? If it goes up, it gets louder? Yeah, relatively. The two words didn't go in there because a lot of the time it's going to get softer. There's certain things that are just musical things. Repeated notes always go from soft to loud, unless, I think it sounds better, and a lot of people would agree. So in terms of ear, a lot of guitar players, especially, play it in F instead of B flat. So sometimes we have to know it. My singers like to sing it in that key as well. So if you're going to transcribe a piece and whatever it is, learn the tune and play it. Even if you're using a lead sheet, if you use a lead sheet, it's a crutch, but that really helps in the transcription. Use a slow down device. There are probably some people in this room that either don't believe that or have been told otherwise, and I will own that. I tell people to use the slow down device. Some people don't. I think it's great. If it was quick, I would pull mine up, and I'd show you tunes that I like to put down on a slow down device. I learned everything on tenor. Then all of a sudden, I'm playing alto and bari a whole lot, and so I'm going back and learning different tunes. Anybody know that tune?
Fried bananas.
Fried Bananas, right. So when I'm playing on tenor, it's like, oh yeah, it's that. And then all of a sudden, I'm playing a lot of gigs on bari. I want to be able to know all these tunes. So I'll put something like Eternal Triangle on a slow down or put it on the bari. Use transcription as an etude. Slow it down, make it a thing that I feel like I have to impart on people is to listen more than you play. If you're a student and you're trying to play an hour's not enough. You're trying to, maybe for you high school guys, it's really important to listen. I would try to listen to 3 hours of music, good practice for 3 hours. Because again, you don't want to be in a room just doing your thing and not be connected to reality, what's happening musically. It's really, really important to listen. And that could be anything having to do with saxophone. It's good to listen to guitar players, know what piano players sound like. Just anything that's exciting. It's really, really important. And people could follow along. So, go through the lyrics. So, especially in the early part of my, an interesting point in terms of listening, you know. The other thing is how we listen to music, how we engage with music. With Warren Marsh, you might say those chord changes sound really familiar with that. And, you know, there's different levels of knowing a piece. A lot of the time, people think, like, I either know this piece or I don't. And what I kind of present is these different levels. Like, I know the melody of your piece. Well, the first thing is when you go to a jam session, you don't want to sit in on a tune if you don't know the melody. That's kind of like a really important jam session thing. And I don't want to go down the jam session rabbit hole, but we can talk about that at the end. Then the other is, you know the melody and a handful of chord changes. Sorry, I'm stealing this from you. And then the melody and all the chord changes. And then I did this with Genesis combo. So that's back home in Indiana, jazz, bari sax, and we spent some time on the piano. This will make us more well-rounded, and you have to hear it. And if you're not an experienced piano player, there's a root in the left hand. Sounds kind of majory. It's a G and an A and a C on top of an F. The textbook would tell you to put an E on the bottom. That sounds a little too vanilla for me. That's a little too Wonder Bread. A sound in your ear. It's really, really important. Very, very, very important. And same kind of difference. Yeah, some people use YouTube. However you get your music, make a playlist. Put the same tune in the playlist. So to Sarah Vaughan, to Dexter Gordon, I mean, just kind of like for instance. So the way that I often spend my evening, and my wife goes crazy because it's administrative. That's really how you want to really get inside of a tune. I feel like there's some examples of these tunes that I've had in my life. Oh yeah. Or whatever device that you use and to learn the melody. Like they really, you know, the crooner aesthetic, the solo, and the good example of a musician. If you really want to understand his music, take the tunes that he's playing, if he is playing a tune, his own, but arrangements, and then listen to them with his connecting the ear with the fingers. And so this is where it probably goes a little off the tracks. I'm curious of what some of my students think of this, because sometimes you have to know blues. You have to have a head, and blues in B flat. You have to have a head. Blues in F. You have to know rhythm changes tune. Saxophone player, let's play. And then the piano player is like, what do you know? I used to sub for my friend that teaches at UMass, and I go on his gig, my friend Felipe, and I play with his band. There was a piano player that taught piano. He'd be like, this guy doesn't know anything. So it's really, really, really important to know tunes. But that said, I wrote some things out that I think are really good for connecting the ear with the instrument because they're progressions that you hear. So for instance, which one's the first one? Major, minor, third, minor. Okay. I can practice this all day long. It might turn into E. So to be able to work with piano players, play popular music, play reggae music, funk music, hip hop music, you gotta know 12 keys. A good example, Ben, right there, he and I had our bari saxes out. An African percussionist came to our jam session. It was cool. He comes, and I don't even know, it was some kind of a balafone. In order to be ready for this, 12 keys is really, really important. You know, you can play an F for hours and hours, but then we have a real life situation where a guy starts playing, we're like, that's an E. All right, that's where we're at. That's how it goes. So the way I would practice that at the end. So this is very much. Those are all just with chord tones. So what we want to do to really practice this would be take it up a half step. So let's just sing those roots. This is the first one. This is constant E flat. Ba, ba, ba. Good. Okay, so when I work with high school students, sometimes the high school students will have to work on getting the roots, and then I have some hotshot tenor player. I'm like, okay, you sing the third. So if singing the roots easy, challenge yourself to sing a third, and that there's a challenge way to the way to the shed, and that it'll kind of wake you up. So you have to find ways to challenge yourself. So maybe singing the third or the fifth on the chord would be really helpful. The other thing, to go back to this, let's skip to the major one. This is called the Drum Genius. This is pretty awesome. So what I think is really good about this, oh come on, I need it to work. What's really great about this is this gives you some type of a So this is a Punjab beat from India, which is kind of cool. If you've ever been to India, so the major one is D major to G major. Same thing. 1 chord to 4 chords to 5 chords back to the bar line. A lot of times you have a chord change, so it's good to be off and down. Don't play the rhythm on the downbeat. That third on the downbeat of each chord is really, really helpful if you are doing some type of a tune. Did Berganti give you that in the lesson? I'll bet he did. Yeah.
God, spotlight.
Spotlight. Got it. Anybody else?
Softly in the morning sunrise.
Softly as the morning sunrise. Yeah. You know, let's stick away from that one. Actually, let's think about the bridge. The bridge is where all the chord changes are. Everything in the A sections are kind of modal. Like if I'm gonna play softly, a lot of times people are gonna play it in C minor. I'm sorry. That's a really good one. I like it. Let's do that. Major instead of a dominant. When we were listening to it in the lesson, I was like, that's a major chord, not a dominant. So this tune. Bypass just playing the melody. So what Joe Henderson, if somebody asked me my favorite saxophone player, I'm like, so in other words, you can have kind of, I saw all my old UNH students in New Orleans. To get back to what I said earlier, that's a great tune to embellish. Wow, Aaron went to UNH. One of my success stories. Band teacher in the region, killer saxophone player. This is a really great tune to just play the melody and embellish. So I repeats himself, George is like, no, don't do that. So the whole point is to not repeat yourself. So we'll play at different tempos, use different types of backing tracks, don't just always bar or play one note. Good example of why the melody is important if you're a drummer or a bass player or a singer, singers always mess this up. We're playing all the things you are. Weird number of bars, right? The way you don't get lost is, best example is, the way that A sounds over that. When I was a student, I'd be like, all right, we want the drummer to sound good, because if the drummer doesn't sound good, we're not gonna sound good. The bass player doesn't sound good with the drums, they're a team, that's a problem. And then the piano player needs to remember the tune. So that's a big part of what the melody does. And as a student, like I wasn't encouraged to really play the melody in interesting ways. So, you know, we have a jam session at WVU in Morgantown, and people ask, like, a friend of mine who's a great bass player, he said, how do you do this? Like, jam sessions, you have 5 trying to play The Days of Wine and Roses. Ba 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 ba. I mean, that's kind of on hip, you know, with 5 horn players playing like that. So what we'll do is we'll maybe assign them that maybe play the head. You know, maybe Cannonball doesn't play the head, maybe it's solo. So how else do we now repeat ourselves? Play through the saxophone family, soprano. Still play a lot of soprano. I love soprano. I got a Mark 6, and I hold the horn, and you play like this. And some kid pulls out his, instead of right and wrong, especially jazz, we have to think about a hi-hat where I play that note. It's a bit late on the recording. The other thing is this particular Barry, I've got my repair person is kind of annoyed by the right place, like it's not synthetic. And I'll point out this is a classical sax.
Some slowdown devices that people use. Can you, I guess, say any asterisks on the Barry?
Yeah, music speed changer. Yeah, the reason I like Amazing Slowdowner is YouTube. Well, there's a choice between 50, 75, and 100. A piano player was doing a master class. I think some of the students will remember this. And use it as a learning tool. You know, so basically you're writing yourself an etude. This is a pretty profound thing. So like, you know, there are saxophone players that are starting etude instead of sitting with a metronome playing. Yeah. Any other questions before we're out of time? I didn't mean to talk so much. I like interactive. I feel really awkward just talking. But I also have a whole lot of things that I probably didn't get in. So we can talk mid-scaler stuff. I'm going to interlock. It's really, really good. It's good for the chops, but that's dangerous. That's in there, and that makes it really good. It gives you more material to play. It's really, really helpful. As far as here, that means that there's 11 more